Ladies and gentlemen, it's time. As stressful as it may be, I am going to go over every single held item for every single Pokemon in Pokemon Unite. Join me, won't you? Hi everybody, Jake your resident, ouch. Hi everybody, Jake your resident content cowboy here. Yeehaw, and I get asked this a lot. What held item should I use for what Pokemon? So as of right now, this patch, this time that we are living, I'm going to give you my suggestion for every single held item inside the game and every single Pokemon. We are going to go over all of these beautiful mons today, and we are going to decide what held items are best. I'm going to try to walk you through most of the combinations, and I will tell you my thought process for each one. Yes, this will be a longer video. I hope you enjoy it. Hopefully I can get some timestamps on it. I should get some timestamps on it for you, right? Let's start with Venusaur. So there are two popular moveset builds for Venusaur. There was the Solar Beam Sludge Bomb build, and then the Giga Drain Petal Dance build. The Giga Drain Petal Dance build obviously is far and away the most popular build for this mon. When you are running that, I feel like this is a strong choice. Let me talk you through why all of these items are very good for it. First of all, the Petal Dance Giga Drain build gives you an incredible amount of sustain. When you stack that amount of sustaining power with an item like a Focus Band that not only gives you defense, but also lets you recover a ton of health when you get low, it pairs together so well. It's such a strong combination. Buddy Barrier gives you a big chunk of HP. Obviously, once again, you are using that a lot throughout your encounters. The toughest thing about the Petal Dance Giga Drain Venusaur is that you can't take it out. You can't KO it. So this item helps a lot. Not to mention that if you're getting low and you use your Unite move, now you get a 40% shield. So it's kind of a no-brainer to use a Buddy Barrier on this mon. And then Muscle Band. There's been a lot of talk about the attack speed bonus of Muscle Band, and I'm not even super concerned about that because the passive of Muscle Band, the passive ability, is the best part. It's when your basic attacks hit, they do more damage. You're using your basic attacks all the time with this build. You are chasing people with basic attacks, hitting them with your Giga Drain, and your Petal Dance to reset your Giga Drain. I could see someone saying that you might not run the Muscle Band and you might swap this out with something like a Score Shield. Score Shield's great. It just gives you more HP and it lets you score in some pretty ridiculous situations. When you're so mobile like Venusaur is, this is a pretty good option. I do like this build as well. Something I've seen some people run is a Shell Bell. I actually don't think this is super necessary. You're getting tons of HP as it is, but if you just want to become a sustaining monster, Shell Bell will help a bit. A little problem with the Shell Bell is that its cooldown on the heal side of it is once every 10 seconds. So you're already healing a ton. This will help you now and again, but I don't know if it's going to be your absolute best bet. I think another strong choice could be something like Choice Specs. So Choice Specs are nice because Venusaur actually has a lot of special attack. I'll pull it up over here on UniteDB. That's a website that has stats for all the Pokemon. Venusaur has 962 special attacks, so if you run Choice Specs, you will get that extra pop of damage once every 8 seconds, which is pretty nice. And it does scale with your abilities. However, Giga Drain and Petal Dance don't scale especially well. Looking at this Pokemon right here, Giga Drain scales off about 55% of your special attack, and Petal Dance only 8%. So really the big benefit of running Choice Specs would just be that extra pop of damage. However, again, I think a pretty solid build is something like this. Maybe swapping out that Muscle Band for a Score Shield. Let's move on to Charizard. Charizard, okay, Charizard, I have another video on my channel about Scope Lens and about how it works and how it's really, really great for Char. Basically, the passive ability on Scope Lens, or I guess the activated ability, however you would word it, because some of these just happen all the time, is when you hit with a basic attack that crits, there's another pop of damage on top of that. And I believe it resets about once every second. So once every one of Charizard's basic attacks, you have the ability to do another pop of damage. And it happens pretty consistently. Also, Charizard does have some natural crit. None of Charizard's abilities crit, but it's Charizard's basic that takes advantage from the scope lens. Muscle Band as well. I mean, you're just chunking away enemy HP with it. It feels like a no-brainer to run a Muscle Band on Charizard. Buddy Barrier is an interesting choice. I mean, Buddy Barrier is good on every Pokemon, pretty much. On Char, your Unite move is one of the reasons to play Char. It's one of the best Unite moves in the game, and it kind of changes the battle entirely when you're using Charizard. This just lets you stay alive longer when you use it, and it will shield an ally. I actually like Buddy Barrier because Charizard's passive gives you increased crit when you're, I believe, under 50% health. Let me pull that up here just to make sure I'm getting that right. Yeah, your crit rate is increased by 20% when you're under half HP. So you can get pretty low, use your Unite, and take advantage of all that crit for a little while. That's pretty nice. You could also swap one of these for, of course, where are you, buddy? Oh, I missed it. For an energy amplifier. So an energy amplifier would make it where when Charizard uses its Unite move, it gets a massive damage increase to all of its basics for a little while. This could be a devastating build. The only problem with this is you sacrifice that HP and you sacrifice that shield. I personally like Buddy Barrier more on Char. I could actually see someone saying, you know what, I'm not going to worry about crits, or I'm not going to worry about Muscle Band on this Pokemon, and I'm going to run both. For instance, I'm going to run both a Buddy Barrier and an Energy Amplifier. But in general, I would probably run something more like this. It's a safer build, which might not be as fun, but it's a safer way to run Char. Okay, let's head on over to Blastoise. Blastoise is a massive tank. So tanks are amazing with Buddy Barriers and Score Shields and Focus Bands. The reason being, all of these items are based off your HP, and Blastoise has some of the highest HP in the game. So a Focus Band recovers more HP on a Blastoise as a number than it does on an Absol, for instance, because an Absol has lower HP, or a Greninja. That's why it's more impactful to run items like this on your tankier Mons. Blastoise could run a few other items. If you really wanted to do special attack damage, I would probably run Specs. It's not, I'll say it's not amazing. Maybe if you really wanted to stack damage really intensely and you scored a bunch, you could run special attack Specs, but I don't think that's going to be your strongest option. I honestly think this is a very strong call for Blastoise, and if you wanted to add more damage, you're doing basics a lot, I might even throw in a Muscle Band. You are special attack focused, but all of your basic attacks take advantage of Muscle Band's passive, active ability, however you would word it. So a build like this is pretty good. This build, actually, I'll show you. This build, I think, was really strong for the Rapid Spin Water Spout Blastoise, because basically you were solo queuing, you were playing this Blastoise, and you were just taking as many objectives as you can and scoring with it a ton. Now that that build can't take advantage of the basic attacks while spinning the same way it could, I'd probably just run something like this on it, honestly. If you don't like Score Shield and you don't like the way that plays, by the way, if you haven't used a Score Shield and really figured out how to take advantage of it, I highly recommend you play with it a little bit, because you will see how amazing it is. But if you don't like that, I would swap that for a Muscle Band and just use something like this. This is strong. If you're really focused on being tanky, you could switch something for an Assault Vest here. And this is a nice combination because it just gives you that massive shield, 15% of your max HP as a special attack shield going into combat. That could be pretty useful. If you don't like Score Shield, I could see you running something like this on Blastoise. All right. Pikachu, where are you? Pikachu, okay. Pikachu is a special attack type Pokemon, but its special attack doesn't scale that well. However, Choice Specs gives you big pops of damage. I actually really like Choice Specs on Pikachu. I know some people run Energy Amplifier on Pikachu, so Energy Amplifier possibly and Buddy Barrier if you really like Pikachu's Unite move. Pikachu is one of those Pokemon that I feel like is all about getting those big pops of damage. It's just like a pop, a pop, a pop. Up until the end of the match, it's a lot of bursty damage coming out from Pikachu, which is why I like running Choice Specs. Muscle Band just lets you chunk people away with your basic attack. You're using your basic attack all the time with Pikachu. When you're not hitting someone with your ability, you're hitting them with your basic attack. So Muscle Band is a good call. You could, if you really want to increase your damage, possibly run Wise Glasses. Let me take a look at the scaling over here on a Pokemon like Pikachu, because I believe part of the issue is your moves. Yeah, your moves scale at about 60%, 70%, Thunderbolt at 50%. Your problem is your special attack scaling. It's not your special attack stat. Pikachu has one of the highest special attack stats in the game, which is why I think Choice Specs are probably a better call. Also, it's just giving you that huge pop of damage on top of your abilities here. Again, some people might run an Energy Amp here. That way, when you use your Unite move, you get this huge increase in damage for a moment. I could see that being actually a fun call on Pikachu, something like this. But I usually play Pikachu a little closer to this. All of my basic attacks are doing some extra damage. When I'm hitting with my abilities, once every 8 seconds, I get a big pop of damage, which is great because I'm trying to assassinate people often with Pikachu. And then this just gives you more HP and a shield when you use your Unite move, which is great. So you can really alter the course of a fight. I like it when you use a Unite move with a Pokemon, you're around long enough to finish the fight, basically. It's Halo 3. I think that was the tagline. Alolan Ninetales. Alolan Ninetales has 2 builds that are popular. There's the Buddy Barrier. Excuse I'm just looking at a Buddy Barrier, so I called it a Buddy Barrier. There is the Dazzling Gleam Aurora Veil build. Slow down, Jake. And then there's the Blizzard Avalanche build. So this right here, I think, is a decent setup for the Blizzard Avalanche build. However, if you are running a Dazzling Gleam Aurora Veil, I think Muscle Band is kind of a no-brainer in that sense. I could see people saying, well, you know, when you're doing Aurora Veil build, you have your basic boosted attacks scaling off special attacks, so someone could still want an item perhaps like Wise Glasses in a sense like that. Let me take a look at the scaling on this. That might be a call. I could see someone running that. It's not necessarily what I run. It's 56% of your special attack, so I could see someone saying, hey, just boost your special attack a lot, do some extra damage. I personally like running this. I don't know about the attack speed increase, but you're doing basic attacks constantly with this build, and you're just doing it in general because you are a ranged Pokemon and you need to stay at range when you're Alolan Ninetales. So I like running something like this on the Veil build, and I like running this on the Blizzard Avalanche build. You're just hitting with abilities more often with the Blizzard Avalanche build, so you have the higher chance of your Choice Specs extra pop damage that happens once every 8 seconds, hitting more often. Those are my Alolan Ninetales recommendations. Oh, and as far as the other items on Alolan Ninetales here, Focus Band helps you because if you get jumped on as Alolan Ninetales, you need something to survive. You don't have good escapes. And then Buddy Barrier. Alolan Ninetales actually has a really nice Unite move. It's just you have to be next to people. So I think Buddy Barrier really helps. You'll probably be using it in a team fight. I think this is a solid combination for the Avalanche Blizzard Ninetales. All right. Wiggly. Wigglytuff's a weird one. So Wiggly is a lot like a lot of the defenders. Anything that deals with HP is amazing on Wigglytuff. It has some of the highest HP and defenses in the entire game. This is kind of the boilerplate basic setup for many defenders. You can't really go wrong here. Your defenders and supporters, really. You're so tanky, you have so much HP that you're around long enough to use all of your abilities more and more and more. And that's kind of what you want with Wiggly, is you want to be able to stay in the fight, sing people to sleep, hit them with your double slap or your dazzling gleam, It's going to be important for you to be around for a long time and really bully the enemy team. If you don't like Score Shield here, here's actually a couple fun choices. I actually really like running Choice Specs on Wiggly, especially if you're using the double slap build, because that way you just have a higher likelihood every slap, as long as one of those slaps is within the 8-second window, you get that extra pop of damage, which I think is really cool. You also could run a scope lens. So this is a weird kind of setup on Wiggly, but Wiggly's abilities do crit. So your basic attacks, you have no crit percentage. This would give you a crit percentage on your basics. But your abilities, Roll Out, Double Slap, and Dazzling Gleam, can all crit. So if you want to be really sneaky and just do some extra damage with Wiggly, it's a low rate. It's only 6% at level 30, but it can sometimes be just this really fun pop of damage for Wigglytuff. Again, you could throw other options into the mix here. You know, things like Assault Vest is a possibility, but I don't know, your defenses are already so high. I would use something more fun. I would get extra damage with Choice Specs. Score Shield, just because it's insanely useful. What else could be a fun choice? Muscle Band isn't as good because you're melee, so it's hard to get up in the fight. Shell Bell, I mean, you've got so much health as it is. I don't know if you need something that's going to recover health here. So I think this could be a fun option, but again, I would probably run the Choice Specs or the Score Shield instead. All right, Machamp. Machamp's a weird one. So Machamp has a few item sets that I think are good. I run this set if I want to do a crit Machamp. So Machamp's abilities Cross Chop and I think Submission as well. Let me pull it up here. Both of them help you with crit, right? So yeah, Cross Chop gives you an increased critical hit rate, and it can critically strike. So that's nice. If you're running Cross Chop on Machamp, that's a nice reason to have a Scope Lens. And Submission also, yes, if this attack hits, Machamp gains increased critical hit rate and attack speed. So you could run a crit build for this Pokemon, and it make a lot of sense. I could see some people running a few different items actually here. If you don't feel Buddy Barrier is necessary, you could run a Focus Band, so you could stay around longer inside the fight. You also, if you really want to lean into critting, you could also run a Razor Claw here. So you've got both crit items, and then also after you use a move, you're going to get that extra chunk of damage, and you are going to lower their movement speed when you hit them with a melee basic attack. I could see someone going full out crit on a Pokemon like this. You might even swap this for a Muscle Band in that sense, so you're just crazy attack damage. I think it's kind of tough though, because this is almost a build that you'd want to see on someone who actually outputs a little bit more damage at range, which we'll talk about a little later. Something you could run on this also that some people like is Weakness Policy. If I was running Weakness Policy, I think I would definitely be set up to be tankier, so I could be around longer inside of a fight. So the Focus Band would help me in that sense. And then the Buddy Barrier, obviously, when I use my Unite move or just having that extra HP. So Weakness Policy, the way it works is you need to get hit the more damage you're receiving. Machamp's up in the fight a lot. I think this is one of the few Pokemon that I can see an argument for running Weakness Policy on. It also gives you attack and extra HP. This is probably the build I would run if I was running a Weakness Policy. But you saw a lot of item combinations here. Again, I like playing my Machamp more like this or more like this. Something like this. That's usually how I play it. All right. Slowbro. Slowbro's basic tank, focus, buddy, score is very, very solid for Slowbro. You've got a lot of health. You actually have not the highest defenses in the game. They're pretty high, but they could be a little bit better. And just things that increase your HP are really, really beneficial here. Focus Band just keeps you alive. Slowbro's passive ability, where, you know, that blue bar of Slowbro's health that you can get back if you're hitting people with your Surf or Telekinesis or using Amnesia. All these items just help that. Anything that stacks more HP, more ability to live, I think is very good on Slowbro. You could swap out Score Shield here. I've seen people run this, and I actually do like running this, especially when I'm going Sylveon hunting, is an Assault Vest. You've got a lot of HP. This gives you more special defense. This gives you more HP. And I find on a Pokemon like Slowbro, I find that this this Assault Vest is easier to sort of stack on because I'm kind of waiting for the moment to engage a little bit with Slowbro rather than being as in people's faces as some of the other defenders and supports. I think this is a totally reasonable setup for Slowbro, and it just makes it harder and harder to take you out. So a really good setup for a Pokemon like this. Unfortunately, Slowbro's values for special attack are kind of low, so I don't know. I don't think you would really want to do too much. I mean, it's okay. They're kind of low, so I don't know what you'd really want to do if you wanted to increase your damage a ton. I mean, they scale all right off your abilities. Maybe some choice specs, maybe. But again, I don't really think you need it. I don't think it's what Slowbro does well. So I could see maybe someone swapping something like, again, choice specs or wise glasses in there. But I just don't think you need it. I mean, I wish that was maybe more of an option, but I don't think it's that necessary. I usually run something like this. It's just a simple tank build, and it works really well. Gengar. Gengar is an interesting one. Gengar is a 3 glasses Pokemon. This is totally reasonable on Gengar. So, Gengar is all about tons of special attack, doing a huge burst of damage, and getting out of there. He really doesn't have any other use inside the game. He's a huge assassin, and you want to increase that special attack as much as you can. If you find that you're not scoring often, I would definitely swap out the special attack specs with something that could help you more, like a Focus Band, possibly a Shell Bell for some healing, but I think a Focus Band isn't a bad choice. It's going to save you from KOs sometimes, and then, you know, you could also run a Buddy Barrier on a Pokemon like this. But a lot of people like the 3 glasses Gengar. I think it's pretty good. You just have to know that you're going to be scoring. If you're not scoring with special attack specs, just get rid of them. If you find that you don't score a lot in game, like maybe you score a couple times a game, get rid of them. If you know that you can score, you know, multiple times and you have that in your head, oh, I'm gonna be stacking this item, go for it. Otherwise, swap that with a Focus Band or Buddy Barrier, I would say. Gengar is just all about massive amounts of damage really, really quick. And this is all this setup is set to do. Just give you more of that huge, huge amount of damage. Blissey. Blissey is a support. Pretty basic setup here. Buddy, focus, score. This is great for Blissey. Blissey lives forever, long enough to help your allies do anything that they need. If you'd like to, swap a score shield out here for experience share. Experience share is, you know, you're kind of rolling the dice a little bit. The biggest problem I have with experience share is that it does give you experience if you're the lowest level or tied with the lowest level Pokemon on the team. So if you're a level 3 and Charmander's also a level 3, it's giving you bonus experience points. When an ally near you defeats a wild Pokemon, they get more experience, which is great. So it helps you power up your carries. But when you're playing solo, I find that you're just in not the best position to take advantage of this, because someone could be playing in such a way where this item almost becomes sort of useless on you. I can't really speak to the movement speed. I don't know what plus 100 means. I don't know the exact sliders of it. I haven't seen that be that impactful. If you really like experience share, I say go for it. But right now, especially if you're playing solo, I have to recommend not running experience share. I know some people do like wise glasses on Blissey if they're running a soft boiled build. That way they can give people more health, because it actually does scale really well off your special attack. However, I think just give you something that lets you stay alive longer, like a score shield. Maybe you could stack HP with AS Cookie, but you don't really need it. You've got so much HP. I could see Assault Vest being kind of a fun choice here. Yeah, but in general, I would run this build. It's not the coolest build in the world, man, but it's really, really good. All right, let's head on over to our next Pokemon. Okay, had a quick pause there. I had to get a drink of water. I mean, this is tough work. It's got me parched. Mr. Mime. Mr. Mime is a really cool Pokemon because I think there are a few good builds for Mime. I love a Choice Specs Focus Band Buddy Barrier. This probably isn't the best Mime build, but I just find Mr. Mime's damage is surprisingly large and all at once. So I like having that extra chunk of damage when I'm using my, confusion and pushing someone into a wall. I just love that there's an extra pop with choice specs. Mr. Mime also has good special attack scaling, but lower special attack. So I think an item like this is kind of fun for it. You could do something like this. You could use special attack specs and then a score shield. This way you're just stacking special attack throughout the battle as you are scoring. This is a pretty fun setup for Mime as well. Or of course, if you just want to be tanky because you're a tanky little monster, you could run something like this. Buddy Barrier, Score Shield, Focus Band. Totally reasonable, but I like the extra damage that I get from choice specs. I think it's really, really fun to get that extra pop of damage with Mime. Again, Mime is so sneaky. I think people don't expect, you know how much damage it's going to do, but then every time it hits you into a wall, you're just kind of blown away by how powerful it is. So this is a setup I really like for Mr. Mime. Next Pokemon is Snorlax. Hey, Snorlax. Classic defender setup I think is totally reasonable for Snorlax. Score focus, buddy. You just have massive amounts of HP. Your Unite move, you use it ideally with an ally so that you're like, all your health is back. Your ally just got shielded. You're this big, unkillable monster in the middle of a fight. Pocket monster, if you will. Another setup, let's say you were running a flail build. I've seen some people drop one of these items here, probably the Score Shield, and run something like a Razor Claw. This way, when you use your flail, you then hit them with the Razor Claw, doing that increased damage, and you slow them. So you can get this extra pop of damage all the time. Something that I love on the more defender style Snorlax is the Score Shield, because there's this little trick with Score Shield and any other shield that a Pokemon has. You can use your barrier so that, or block, excuse me. You can use block, put up your big wall, hit block again, cancel it, and then you have that shield on that you get from block, and then go to score. Your Score Shield is actually increased when you do that. So that's just a cool little trick to run with Snorlax, and I think it can help get you some sneaky scores and just a ton more shield on top of your abilities already. Again, if you're running Flail, I think Razor Claw is actually a really fun choice here. Maybe you even drop Buddy Barrier if you really want to drop your survivability, but you want to increase your damage. You could throw on a Muscle Band, or you could go kind of full crit with your melee attacks. That would be pretty fun, but I would probably run something closer to this if I was going Flail without a Buddy Barrier. All right, Mamoswine. Mamoswine, I like running Focus, Muscle, Score. So my thought here is this. You don't get to Unite too much with Mamo. Your Unite comes late. That's why I don't run Buddy Barrier as much on Mamoswine. You just don't get to use too many Unite moves inside the game. However, if you like, you can definitely swap out Score Shield for a Buddy Barrier just to make sure that you have that extra survivability. This is also one of the other Pokemon that I think there's some argument to running a weakness policy on. You are in the fight the whole time with Mamo. Every time you're hitting them with those basic attacks, your boosted is freezing them, and it stacks on top of your thick fat, kind of. You know, it's kind of like what's happening with thick fat, except the other way around. You're getting hit rather than hitting. So I think if you're going to run weakness policy on Mamoswine, I don't think that's a crazy setup. I think a setup like this is actually pretty good on a Pokemon like that. It's not my favorite choice. If you've seen my weakness policy video, I don't really like the item in general. But I think this is a good setup to run an item like this. And I have run this on Mamo, and it's been pretty good. Gardevoir. Gardevoir is a weird one. You could run 3 glasses on Gardevoir. You could run glasses, choice, Shell Bell. You really, I mean, This has a cooldown reduction, and it's one of the only Pokemon that I feel like kind of take advantage of cooldown reduction, even just a little bit, because their cooldowns are kind of longer for some of their moves. But you could run 3 Glass, of course. Specs, Choice, Glasses. I mean, you could just Specs, Glasses. You could do tons of damage with this. You could also run an Energy Amplifier. That way, when you use your Unite and you catch people in it, and you throw down the damage, you're just going to obliterate everyone inside there, and it gives you cooldown reduction. I could see running something like this. I do kind of like Shell Bell on this Pokemon. I know the issue with Shell Bell, again, is that it has a 10-second cooldown for it to be used. But the higher your special attack, the more HP you do recover with this, and Gardevoir has the highest in the game. So this is actually a Pokemon where I think there is some viability to running that Shell Bell with Gardevoir here. But of course, again, if you really just want to do more damage with that Unite, you could run an Energy Amp, or you could run 3 Specs, 3 Glasses on this Pokemon. Absol, I go crit muscle. I mean, Absol's a crit Pokemon. You need your crit items. I think these are no-brainers. I could see someone dropping maybe muscle for a Buddy Barrier, because you do actually Unite a lot with Absol. Your Unite charges pretty well. And I find that I'm uniting quite a bit, actually, with Absol. So I could see someone swapping this right here. I could also see someone saying, oh, I run into situations where I need to survive when I accidentally overcommit, and they run a Focus Band. I could definitely see this being a possibility, just so you get all that life back. Basically, if you're an Absol and you live long enough to do one more attack, that could be the difference between KOing like 5 Pokemon. So I could see someone throwing a Focus Band on here, or again, a Buddy Barrier on here. That way you can jump in, fight, use your Unite if you have to be around long enough to do more damage. But most of the time I'm running something like this. Just full-on attack with this Pokemon. Absol crits so hard. He crits so hard. On Garchomp, I run something similar. So Garchomp has a crit chance on its basic attacks. It also has 2 abilities that can crit. Both of its dragon abilities can crit. So if I'm running a dragon build, I almost always run Scope Lens, because it's Dragon Claw and Dragon Rush both have a critical hit chance. If I'm running the Earthquake build, I might drop Scope Lens and honestly go something more basic, like a Buddy Barrier in this situation. I've seen people run Razor Claw, and I totally get the idea behind it. One of Garchomp's biggest weaknesses is that it has a lot of trouble sticking to enemy Pokemon. So, as I always say when I'm fighting a Garchomp, just walk away. Walk away from it, its stacks go away, it can't hit you. That's Garchomp's biggest problem. So Razor Claw can sort of help fix this issue, right? But, I mean, I even think a Buddy Barrier might be a better call in this situation, just because when you use that Unite, you're really up in the fight, you get crazy powerful for a second, you get all your stacks, maybe just run Buddy Barrier Focus Band so you're alive long enough to continue the fight. Some people like running, instead of maybe muscle, a weakness policy. I get it. I just don't think Garchomp's... My biggest problem with Garchomp is I actually think it just gets focused down too fast for how much it needs to be inside the fight. So I would rather run crits. For me, I'd rather run crits in a situation like this. I'd probably even drop Buddy again and just run, you know, the Scope Lens, Muscle Band for that increased chip damage on all the basics, and the Focus Band to hopefully keep me alive here. Maybe some people would drop Focus Band for Buddy Barrier. I could see that. But this is normally what I run here on Garchomp. Okay, Lucario. For a Power Punch build, I run Attack Weight, Score Shield, Focus Band. I stack attack weight so easily with Lucario. You're such a bully in lane with Lucario. You could easily get all 6 of your stacks before Dreadnought. You could at least get, you know, 3 or 4. Not too difficult at all. You're scoring in the enemy's face the whole time. And his power-up punch in close combat scales so well with attack. You're just doing absurd damage with Lucario. Just absurd. If you're running extreme speed, however, I actually like running a Razor Claw here. I could see someone saying, you know what, I'm actually going to drop Score Shield, even though It just feels like it's so good on Lucario. And go Focus Band, Razor Claw, Muscle Band on an Extreme Speed Lucario. So basically, you would Extreme Speed, Basic Attack, Extreme Speed, Basic Attack, and just continue that throughout the battle. Pew, 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 taking out everyone. So if I'm running Extreme Speed, I will go Razor Claw. But if I'm running Power Up Punch, which is my personal favorite, I will go Score Shield and an Attack Weight. One of the few Pokemon that I think take a huge advantage from the Attack Weight. And again, it's because that scaling is so high. I don't even know exactly what the number is, but let me pull it up here. The scaling for Lucario's Attack Weight. Oh, also Attack is what scales your shield, your Steadfast ability, so it buffs that as well. Yeah, like Quick Attack is 200% of your attack speed. Power Up Punch is 150%. Uncharged and fully charged is 200%. So, I mean, you stack so much. Close Combat is 59% per hit at 11 hits. So it's just unbelievable to get more attack with Lucario. I think it's one of the best things you can do. Okay. Crustle, or as I call him, Crustle. When I'm running the, you know what, you can do this with either build. If you're going Stealth Rock, Shell Smash, or X Scissors Shell Smash, you can run a Scope Lens. Both of those abilities crit. I think actually Rock Tomb crits as well. Let me check. I think that's right. I think Rock Tomb also crits. And yeah, so Rock Tomb also crits. So if you're running Rock Tomb, maybe you could do that. I don't personally prefer Rock Tomb. I think the mobility you get from Shell Smash is one of the best in the game. You're just so mobile. It's insane. With a Stealth Rock build, you have those 8 ticks of damage. Each one of those has a chance to crit. So I just love running Scope Lens on Crustle. And then you're up in the fight. You're hitting enemies with your basics. I think it's just one of the best. I guess actually this also means that your Unite move can crit too, right? I actually haven't noticed that, but that sounds about right. If all of Crustle's damage dealing abilities can crit, then maybe your Unite move can as well. So I think Scope Lens, so fun on Crustle. Of course, you could also just run something like Focus Band in a situation like this. I've heard some people talk about running Eos Cookie. The only issue I have is you don't need health. Like, I know you have a lot. You have some of the highest health in the game, right? What do you have? Yeah, almost the top health in the game. You have almost 10,000 HP, 9,900 HP. You could score a bunch and stack even more HP. I mean, if you like it, go for it. I don't run Eos Cookie on anyone, though. I don't think it's that good. When I play Crustle, I play Crustle. I love my little critty Crustle. My critty boy. Oops. Greninja. Greninja, I go full out. So the lowest health pool in the game, I believe, is on Greninja. Really low defenses. You are a glass cannon. You're a paper cannon. You're a cannon made out of dust. You're going to be gone really, really soon. So I just focus all of my energy on doing tons and tons of damage with Greninja. Extra damage far away. Extra damage whenever you're crit. Your abilities don't crit, but your basics do. And you're throwing your basics and getting in there and using your basic melee. Razor Claw's melee, from what I understand, does not give you the bonus of the decreased move speed because you're considered a ranged attacker. But in general, it increases your crit rate. It increases your attack. You're using Water Shuriken a lot, which is the more popular build right now. So you're Water Shurikening all the time. So your Razor Claw is up, constantly doing extra damage. I go full on damage with Greninja. If I was going to drop something, let's say I wanted to protect myself more and get rid of crit, I might do something. I personally don't think I'd do this, though. I might just do something more basic like this to give me some survivability when I throw my Unite, or gives me the ability to kind of get out and maneuver around. But when I play Greninja, I just play, again, full-on damage as much as I can. Let's do this thing. Big old assassin-y Greninja. Talonflame. So there are a few options for Talonflame. You get your Unite a lot with Talon. So I think running Buddy Bear is actually a really good call, and you could set up some interesting plays with Talon and its Unite, especially if you know you're going to survive a little bit. The problem with Talon is you're pretty you're pretty frail, so kind of like moving all the enemies over there is great, but then also they're all over there with you and they KO you really fast. I like Buddy Barrier on Talon. I love attack weight on Talon. I score a ton with Talonflame. I KO a lot. Your abilities scale like crazy. I use attack weight a lot on Talon. I could see dropping Razor Claw, possibly, but it's so good. All of your abilities, basically, with Talon, you are jumping in and doing a huge amount of burst damage. And Razor Claw just helps you with that. It gives you the slow. I love this setup on Talon. I could also see someone saying, I'm going to swap out Buddy and go, not Focus. Well, Focus is okay, too. And go Score Shield. That way I just have an easier time stacking my attack weight, and I can make some sneaky scores later in the game where if they land on me with a jump pad, they won't take me out. But something like one of these two setups is what I run on Talon. Talon is just so amazing right now. I mean, so good. Sylveon. I have a video up on my channel recently with this build. Focus Choice Wise. This is just a ton of damage. I run a Hyper Voice Sylveon normally. I could also see dropping one of these two glasses for a Buddy Barrier. You get your Unite so early with Sylveon. You get to use it multiple times a match easily, and it restores health. So that extra shield can kind of save you and give you enough time to restore all of your HP. So I could see someone going, oh, I'm going to swap Choice or Wise here, and I'm going to go ahead and throw on a Buddy Barrier. Just keep yourself alive. And then the Focus Band, if you're mirroring another Sylveon, so if the two of you are fighting each other and you're being hit with, you know, Hyper Voice or something, this Focus Band is going to keep you alive long enough if they don't have one to win that encounter kind of no matter what. I mean, unless your Focus Band has already been kind of triggered and you don't have it up. So that's kind of what I like to run on Sylveon. Again, I've just been having so much fun with the double glasses focus on Sylveon, but I could easily see dropping one of these for a Buddy Barrier. All right, next Pokemon here, Zeraora. You are Zeraora. Buddy Barrier, Focus Band, Muscle Band is usually what I run. You get a lot of Unite moves with Zeraora. The extra HP and the recovery from Focus Band and Buddy, I think, really help a lot. Muscle Band, I think, is great. If you're doing a Spark build, I really like Razor Claw. You're just getting that extra pop of damage a lot with Spark. You can use it really effectively. Otherwise, I just like a setup like this. I think it's super solid. I could see you swapping out maybe Muscle Band for... I mean, Energy Amp's not a bad idea, honestly. If you really want to take advantage of the extra damage when you Unite, and you could just burst in, do a ton of damage, and then pop that discharge and do extra damage to everyone around you. That's kind of a fun build. What else is fun? For a little while, I was running an Assault Vest on Zeraora, and this just helps because, you know, Zeraora, you have to be next to people, really, to deal damage, and this was just stopping some of those special attackers from bursting me down as quickly. I've heard some people say weakness policy. The big problem with Zeraora is you're probably getting this ability stacked on top of you when you're in fights, but you're in there for a brief period doing a ton of damage, and then you're kind of getting out of there. So I would rather run a Muscle Band just for that extra damage all the time, or I would rather run a Razor Claw if I'm doing a Spark build. This is usually what I run on Zera. I think it's a pretty solid setup for Zeraora. Pretty solid. Ooh, Cinderace, my friend Cinderace. I go full out damage. Full out damage. Razor, Scope, Muscle, even better than Greninja, I think. Your cooldowns are really low on Cinder as well. You're getting that Razor Claw all the time. The extra chip damage from being ranged. Your basic attacks are critting. You do have one attack that's a guaranteed crit, your Blaze Kick. I don't actually run that, but still, if you did, this is even better. So I just think this is the setup for Cinderace. I could see someone saying that they're going to swap one of these. Maybe Razor Claw for a Buddy Barrier. That way, when you use your Unite, you're around long enough to do some extra damage. I kind of see this, but I just go full out, man. Full out damage all the way with Cinderace. I think that's the way to go. That is the way to go. Eldegoss. one of our last Pokemon on the list, old Eldegoss. Muscle Band, Focus Band, Buddy Barrier. So Buddy Barrier, you're a support, and it's really good to use this move to not only position enemies in a certain way, because when you land, you push everyone around you. So you use your Unite move to sort of push these guys over here back that way, these guys over here this way, and heal your allies. Not only that, you give them a shield with Buddy Bear. I think it's just kind of a no-brainer for a support to run something like this. Muscle Band, you are ranged. You're hitting with basic attacks constantly with Eldegoss. I know you're a special attack-based Pokemon, but that doesn't mean you're not taking advantage of the extra ability that Muscle Band gives you and chipping away more health from people. This is my warrior cleric, or as some people have corrected me, it's just a paladin. Muscle Band, Focus Band, Buddy Bear. You're kind of unKOable anyway. This just makes that even more so, especially earlier in the laning phase. I love this setup on LD. You could swap something in here for like Wise Glasses, because your abilities do scale off special attack. Let me see how well they do, actually. I have not looked at this in a little while for Eldegoss. So again, I'm over on unitedb.com. It's a website that shows a lot of this stuff. So what's your special attack? Do you have pretty good special attack? Yeah, you have decent special attack with Eldegoss, and your abilities do scale pretty well with special attack. So I could see running, instead of a Muscle Band or Focus Band here, I could see swapping this out for Wise Glasses, just increasing your special attack and giving you larger shields, more damage with your Leaf Tornado. I think all that's pretty reasonable too. That's a pretty good setup as well. I wonder what they have set up here. Ooh, they actually recommend Muscle Band and Experience Share, but again, I think that's for kind of a setup 5-man team. So maybe instead of Focus, maybe some people would recommend swapping Focus for Wise. You're kind of a tough Pokemon to take down anyway, but I like just being around forever. So this is my setup for Eldegoss. Finally, old Cramorant. Cramorant's Unite move is one of the best Unite moves, if not the best Unite move inside the game. They nerfed it a little bit, which I kind of get, but also why? It was kind of the point of running Cram. So Buddy Barrier, Energy Amp. This is a fun setup for your Unite. If teams are smart, when you use your Unite as Cram, if you're not in a good position, they'll just jump on you and KO you. So the Buddy Barrier is kind of important for that. And then the Energy Amp just makes sure you're doing tons of damage with that Unite move. The Focus Band would also help you if they want to jump on you and do all that extra damage. You could go more of a full damage build and run choice specs. This is probably for the Hurricane Surf Cram setup right here. I could also see maybe, if you're just not a huge fan of Energy Amp in general, swapping this out for possibly a Focus Band. I know some people like to run, which I don't think is a bad idea, for the dive build, a Shell Bell. Shell Bell, Choice Specs, Buddy Barrier, I think is a pretty good call for the dive Air Slash build. You have good special attack, and you're getting up in people's faces a lot with a special attacker, so having the ability to recover some extra HP might be the difference between winning and losing an encounter. Maybe someone could also say, hey, drop those choice specs, buddy, and just go full on Shell Bell, Energy Amp, so you've got these 2 cooldown reduction items, and your Unite move is extra stacked with both of these Unite move bonuses. I could see someone saying running this build would also be really fun, most specifically on the dive Air Slash Cramorant. Oh, that's everybody. We did it. I went through all the Pokemon, all the held items. Let me know what you think in the comments. Are there any that you think you actually really like that maybe I missed? And I could talk briefly just about some of the held items that are not too ideal for any Pokemon. Let me pull this back up real quick. Unfortunately, Rocky Helmet and Leftovers don't really work too well on anyone. Recovering HP while not in combat, it's just, there's so many ways to recover HP, and the time you want to recover HP is in a fight. So that I think is Leftovers' biggest issue. Rocky Helmet's biggest issue, I mean, getting HP and defense isn't bad, but its biggest issue is just that it doesn't trigger as consistently as you would like. I think both of these items need a little bit of a buff here. And then experience share, again, this is mainly for a team that is all set up so that they know you're going to be taking advantage of an item like this. Without it, I don't think it works super well solo queue. Assault Vest works on a few Pokemon, Special Attack Specs on a few Pokemon. Eos Cookie's another tough one, and it's because I don't think there are many Pokemon that you need to stack all this extra HP on. Like, even if you stacked it on Greninja, that's great and all, but I would just rather have another item on Greninja that does damage. And then if you stack it on a Pokemon that already has 10,000 HP, it's not that it's bad to have, what would it be, like 11,200 or so, but it's not. I don't think the big issue I have with high HP Pokemon is that they don't have enough HP. And then finally, there's Floatstone. Floatstone's biggest issue is it takes so long to activate the bonus move speed. It's I believe, on 8 seconds as well, that by the time it's activated, you're already somewhere else and already in combat again. That's the real unfortunate thing about Floatstone. I think it's a cool idea. It just doesn't really work in practice. Yeah, there we go. Okay, so I hope that helps. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. I know this is a long one, but I get asked these questions a lot, so I hope everybody can get some good info from all of these held item setups. All right, goodbye. I love you. Oh.